for our success, conversations for our success. Today, we are talking about the essentials of a great marriage. And it is just a blessing because Dr. Dougan, who is the counselor, a marriage and family counselor, as well as relationships, she is going to give us all the essentials of a great marriage today. Me, myself, I'm a success coach and spiritual development and personal development, professional development. I work with relationships as well and work with couples and family bonding. And so today, Dr. Dougan is going to take the lead, and we're going to just enjoy what she has to share with us. You will hear from me a little bit, but mostly you're going to hear from her. And we are really excited about today's show. So take notes. Call that spouse in, do whatever you need to do, because now here comes the essential marriages. So Dr. Dougan, it's time for you to take it away.
All right, sister, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. We're good over here today. Well, listen, we are just so excited, and thank you, for bringing up this topic. We just had to cover this because this is such an important part of our well-being. Our relationships and marriage is our ultimate commitment to another a partner. And so I'm just excited and delighted to just share with you some of the things that I feel are essential for a good marriage. I have taught counseling courses in relationships and marriage, and have been married 43 years before my husband passed away not too long ago, but 43 years myself. And I must say that they were wonderful years. We had a delightful marriage. It was not always that way. I mean, the sense that we always had, there were challenges from time to time, but overall it was a great 43 years. And I would love for everyone to experience that kind of marriage, at least for, that amount of years. Well, we can't really, depend on or determine how many years, but just make them as glorious as possible. That's our goal. So we're going to try to assist you today in understanding what the essentials are of a good marriage, at least talk about those. Now, first thing is time commitment is essential to developing a good marital relationship now and in the future. Now, when you first get married, you're excited about it and you're willing to do whatever you can to make your marriage work and all of that. But as you go along, it's like, do I have to do all of that? Is all of that essential? And you're just kind of coasting along. But you have to be careful, because when you're coasting, a lot of times your relationship can get stagnant and you may not even know that it's getting stagnant. So it takes time, a committed time together, and discussing and talking about and tweaking your marriage and your relationship. That is important and will really make a great marriage or a great relationship. It takes time. And what I mean by that also is that it should be a high priority in your marriage. Sometimes you say, well, we've been married for 20 years. What we need time. We got to take time out for the marriage now. What does that mean? I got to do some extra stuff. Yeah, you got to do some extra stuff. It's just, that's what makes the difference between an okay marriage and a great marriage, is the time commitment and the focus on it. So what I suggest to couples is that, and what I used to do myself, is to make sure that my husband and I had some time that was just ours, and for just working on us and our relationship, not with the kids, not about the kids. Well, we may talk about the kids during that time a little bit, but it's about our bond and how are we doing, okay? And we would do that each week, spend some time talking about and cultivating the relationship itself.
Linda,
So what are,
I wanted to ask you on that point, what happens with the couple whose time doesn't line up to be able to do that for just them. I mean, life demands is like, you know, they've got that excuse. I mean, it's a legitimate excuse. He's working in nighttime, she's working in daytime, and they are, you know, just, it's hard to find that time together. What could be, how could they incorporate that principle into their life?
Well, that's when you use a little creativity, in that relationship. A lot of people have long distance relationships. Maybe he's traveling a lot or she's traveling a lot. You don't see each other very much, but you've got a phone now, you've got computers, you can write letters. There are creative things that you can do in order to still work on that marriage and keep it intact. And I think that people don't recognize that it doesn't always have to be a face-to-face thing. And sometimes using those other skills can really enhance the relationship, because those are kind of special things that you can do in order to enhance it, rather than just always the verbal talking, kind of meetings and engagements. But some of the things,
I think that's a good point, because I know one of the couples that I was working with, that's what they were saying. Well, we just don't have the time. We just don't. And when we got done, they found plenty of time. They didn't realize that they have. So it's like being conscientious. I think, so my mother used to always tell us, where there's a will, there's a way. Or where there's a will, God would make a way. So you got to first have that will or the consciousness that we need to be conscientious of our marriage every week, understanding that life demands a lot.
Exactly.
But in order for us to really be whole in this family, to move forward, whether it's just the two of us or whether we have children or whatever, we've got to be conscientious about our togetherness. So are we eating together? Do we find any time to eat together? And when we eat, do we put our devices away? Because some of them, that's what they came to me. They was like, well, yeah, we eat together, but he on his phone and I'm on my phone, and so we eat. So
your bodies are together, but your minds, your bodies are together, but your mind and emotions are somewhere else,
Right.
The focus is somewhere else. So, I don't know how good that is. I don't know. I do know that it's not the best model that, we should put forth in trying to really get this done. So, some of the things that we might talk about are things like, like just simple things. It doesn't have to be anything real complicated or deep necessarily. And some of your meetings may be, more in depth than others, and that's okay. But just checking in and say, how are we doing? How's the relationship? What's working for you? What do you like about our relationship? And what are some things we need to work on? Or what's happened this week with you? What's the most important thing that's happened to you this week or today, or whatever. What are some things that are going right and what needs to be improved? Those kinds of questions. And then, when we have marriage counseling, and when there are other things that you can, you might be able to do too. But those are just starters, for the conversation.
I gotta play the angel's advocate before you move on.
Yes, absolutely. That's all right. I'm glad you are.
I have to play the angel's advocate, because I'm thinking about the people who can't handle the answers to that. It's going well.
See?
Well, this week ain't nothing going well. Everything's been going crazy. And I don't like it. You come home, you ain't doing yep. And now it feels like attack. Well, what's not going as well? But no, come up with an agreement. We often, that we do the agreements, right? They have to come up with an agreement for this time that you're together. Because, honey, when you ask what's going well, they may not want to hear it. And if you you got thin skin, you can't. Wait a minute, let me just make this point. If you got thin skin and you can't handle an answer, don't ask the question until you feel like you're ready for the answer. Because all you're going to do is turn this good time into an argument, because it's getting ready to take you into a place of defensiveness. So you gotta be careful. This time together has to be sacred, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it is sacred. And the other thing too is that it's okay for there to be a discussion about negative things, but it's how you do it. You
Right?
know, that is the important thing. That's why sometimes going to marriage enrichment things and, you know, those kinds of things that kind of refresh you on marriage and give you new tips and ideas can help you. Because there are some things that are very intimidating sometimes about a marriage, or you don't want to really, you know, tackle because you know that it's a point of contention, you know, between the two of you. But those are the things that need to be addressed, and they can be addressed. Sometimes marriage counselors and counselors like you and I can help couples to find ways to deal with those difficult things. But this is really the purpose of the marriage check-ins and everything, because you're just not asking about the good things, which are important. It's important to do that, but it's also about working on those things that are kind of like pressure points in your marriage, like you were mentioning. You know, you got to work on those and you have to address them, but it's how you do it that makes the difference in really being able to move forward and improve on them and work it out, or to, you know, just pretend like they're not there or just simmer in it.
Mhm.
One of the things that we want to do that's going to help to eliminate is to always be encouraging of each other. Think about, you know, 5 things that you like about your spouse, you know, and
Mhm.
let them know what those things are, you know, that you really appreciate about them. And do that not just once in a lifetime, but do that on a regular basis. Catch them when they're doing those things and just say, you know, honey, I'm so, you know, I just really appreciate it when you know, send me flowers out of the blue just for no reason, not an anniversary or whatever, you know, those kinds of things, whatever they might do, just catch them doing something well. And also uh, working on also understanding and appreciating yourself. But it really is encouraging in a relationship. And sometimes the longer we stay in a relationship, the less encouraging we become. I mean, we just kind of take things for granted. When you're young in a relationship, you know how you're starry-eyed and trying to say love things and sending letters and all that stuff, you know, but as you get more settled in the relationship, you forget to do those things. And those are the sparks that keep the marriage going, you know. But you can learn how to develop and how to work on those things that are a little more you know, tender and, you know, kind of conflicting sometimes. And that's what we're here to help you do.
And so I want to jump in again.
Yeah.
That is also, gosh, that seems like it should be so simple. It's like,
Mhm.
come on, let's just encourage each other. And like you said, you made great point. As you get older or as you get more comfortable with that person, you're not doing that. I think this is also where people need to, in one of the essentials of a good marriage, a good relationship, especially this partnership you have, is you got to love you and
Mhm.
find the
Yeah.
positive in you so that you can find the positive in your mate.
Right.
Because what happens is that some people are just negative. And it
Mhm.
doesn't matter, they wouldn't know encouragement if it slapped them across the face, because their sense of encouragement or the way that they encourage is that, you know, hey, you all right. All right, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so,
Uh-huh.
you know, a lot of times, Linda, when they come to you or they come to me, they're coming because they can't seem to make things work. They
Mhm.
want things to be better. Let's just say that
Right.
they just want things to be better.
Yes.
And some of them, man, better is like a long ways. When you say better, tell me what better looks like. If one is like it ain't working at all, and 10
Mhm.
is it's working the best it can, where are you on that
Mhm.
scale? And some of them are at a 2 or a 3,
And
you
then
know?
too, it may be a different level on the scale for the individuals in the marriage. Like I
Right.
think that the marriage is going great, you know,
Yes.
and my spouse may think, we got some stuff that I really am not aligned to, I'm not feeling it, so um, that's why it's important to communicate. That communication, girl, that's the main thing there. And learning how to do that, it's really the basis for an effective relationship. And those listening skills, learning how to really listen to each other, not only at the words, but you've got to listen for the feeling of the other individual. And that's a skill that you learn. And that's not something we learn in school, although we should, but we don't learn that on a regular basis because it's not a part of the curriculum. But that's important. That is really, really important.
It really is. And I want to share what Alicia said. Alicia, this is a great comment. Thank you so much for your comment. And she says that good communication is the key. And that's what that's what we're sharing right now. She says, share your differences openly and honestly. Yeah. I do not like negativity. So I try to think of something positive to nip conflict. If I am on the phone, I would get off and greet him by asking, how was your day? Marriage is work. And I love that she said that, and she has work in capital letters. And I love that she says that, Linda, you were married for what, 43 years or 42? 43 years. I have never been married. Yes, I have children. Okay, that's another story, another show. But I have never been married. And so, and I probably have never lived with a man for, I think years ago with my fiance, over 30 something years ago, I lived with maybe almost 6 months. So yeah, but it doesn't matter because I understand relationships and marriage. And guess what? My children, one's been married for 25, going on 26 years, and one's been married for 13 and 15 years. So guess what? I must know something because sometimes they come to mama too. Okay, so anyway.
But you developed some great individuals. Children are great.
Right. So, because of the point, the importance of communication in marriages.
Yes.
And here's the thing. When she said marriage is work, my mother has always said, because I was like, Mom, gosh, you do all this for Dad, you do that and she says, well, watch this. I was like, Mom, you just serve Dad. She said, you just serve Dad. And she said, but wait a minute, hold up. She said, Charles, I want to go to the lake. And he was like, oh, you want to go to the lake? He's like, yeah. He was like, when you want to go?
That's right.
It's like, oh, okay. It kind of works. She said, Mary, listen, marriage is work. You just have to decide who you want to work with. And even though I'm 61, I know I'm probably going to work with somebody soon.
Keep hope alive, girl.
Look, I'll work with somebody soon. So it's all right. I'm over my fear. But Alicia applauded you, Linda. And Alicia, thank you. We applaud you and for your comment. That was absolutely on time and on point. Definitely. Yes. So, okay, Dr. Dougan, take it away again.
Okay, I was trying to figure out where I am. Okay, we're talking about listening skills and listening to understanding the feeling as well as what the person is saying. That's the most important thing, is to hear what they are feeling. Sometimes we get so caught up in the words and how they're saying it that we don't really understand the feeling behind it, because it touches our emotions the way that it's said. It may not be, the way that we would have wanted to be approached about whatever, but listen for the feelings. That seems to be the underlying thing. And most of the people that I've ever worked with, they really they're not skilled at that. All they do is respond to their emotions based on how it was presented to them, but they don't understand the feeling behind it. And so helping them to understand that kind of settles their being upset and angry and disappointed or whatever that emotion is that they're feeling because of not being able to tap into what the other partner is feeling. And so we try to help them to work on that and to recognize that, and then work from there, because you can work it out. And usually in a relationship, the other party is not trying to hurt you. It's just that something is hurting within them. And so you have to address that. And if you are skilled at doing that, you can listen for that and help them, at least understand it. Then that's what's going to enhance your relationship. So
Absolutely.
learning that
I was
skill is
thinking
essential.
that's what we teach, share with them the different levels of listening.
Mhm.
There's 3 levels of listening. There's the first level of listening where it goes in one ear and out the other. I
Mhm.
heard you, but
Yeah,
did you really listen?
heard
Did
the
you really
words.
hear me? You
Mhm.
know, and then level 2 listening is I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm understanding what you're saying. And so I'm right here with you. I'm present. I'm hearing, I understand what you are saying, and I am definitely taking it in. Level
Mhm.
3 is I also hear what you're not saying.
Yes. Mhm.
I hear
Yeah.
what you're not saying. I'm watching you. I'm seeing how your shoulders are tight. I'm seeing
Mhm.
how you're, you get that little twinkle, or that little twitch rather in your mouth when when you stress. So
Yeah.
something's going on. You not only hear them, you not only see them, you're sensing them. You're
Right.
totally into them.
Mhm.
That's level 3. A lot of people sometimes don't get into level 3. I mean, as coaches and counselors, we have to get into level 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's our
in
job is
level
to help.
2,
That's our job to help them to
yeah.
understand, get to that
So
level 3.
yeah, so if we get our clients in level 2, we good. They doing good. So you can get to that level 2.
But
It's really good.
don't you
Be
think that this
present.
is something that should be, don't you think this is something, I believe this is something that should be taught in high school, is
It
that
really
those
should.
listening skills, because it's not just about marriage, it's about any relationship that you have. And being able to
Actually,
do that would eliminate a whole lot of confusion in the world.
well, Linda, actually, they are teaching listening in school. Just kids are not listening.
What school you talking about? I don't know too many who
Girl, we
really
learned
teach.
listening in school.
Oh,
They was
no,
just
we
not
didn't.
listening. I'm like, listen up. She's trying to teach us about listening. I remember making that comment, nah, she's trying to teach us about listening. But they didn't teach about level 1, the different levels of listening. You're right. They don't teach
No.
about that.
Yeah.
And you're right. It should be taught. And not only that, remember home ec? Home
Yes.
ec was to help you, to prepare you for marriage. Most of the time, girls took it.
But
And the
but
guys took shop. Huh?
in our school district, boys and girls took shop and home economics, because men have to learn how to take care of themselves too. They got to learn, they got to eat, so they need to cook. I mean, suppose you go off to college or something, and your kids doesn't know how to cook, don't know how to do
Girl,
laundry.
girl, I
How
got
going to
4
be looking for
sons.
some woman to take care of them, and that's sad. That is really sad. So that
Girl,
was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that my son knew how to
yep,
cook. He could feed himself and take care of himself, and he knew how to do his own laundry. So we had
yep.
chores, and
They
you
know
had to
how to,
do chores, and we'd have times, different days when you're responsible for cooking. Here's the recipe. This is what you do. You follow the directions, and then sometimes they get it right, sometimes they got it wrong, but it was all right because he's a great
yep.
cook.
They know how to wash
Both of
dishes.
them.
They know how to
Yep,
iron.
that's
That's
right.
right. Shop.
Mhm.
Oh my God. And here's the thing. Now listen to this. So my guys, because I have 4 guys, I had 3 sons before I even had a daughter, and then I had another son. Right. So the whole thing is, if I shop, you come and get the groceries from the car, and you put the groceries away.
Mhm.
That's point blank. I
Everybody.
I didn't really, because I've always taught my guys, hey, guess what? You growing up in the world, these women don't know how to cook, child. They don't know how
Oh,
to wash. They don't know how to do anything. So you can't just be waiting, especially if you're going to have children. You got to help out around the house, even if she does know how to cook
yep.
and all that. You still have to help. You got 2 income family households. My daughter just got blessed that to be a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
And then still even though she's a stay-at-home, she also works from home too,
Right.
but most of the time of her children, that's because they're in middle school now, but all the way up, her husband worked, and she was able to stay at home and homeschool the kids, and and just be there for them. But that was a blessing, because you don't
Yeah.
have that all the time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But my
Mhm.
sons, they definitely know how to handle it. With home ec was not taught in their school.
Mhm.
They had, by the time they was in school, Linda, there was no home economics, and there was no shop. You just
Yep.
didn't do that,
Right. Right.
So You had to
And
keep
those are
it at
two
home.
critical things that are important now. I mean, if you're making a home, you know, you got to know how to organize that place and how to clean and how to, you know, provide meals for your children and all that. And that's one of the things that's happening now, meals out of the box, you know, in the microwave and all this stuff. And, you know, we're getting all of these diseases because we're not eating fresh stuff. We don't know how to prepare it and all. We need that back again. We need some level of that. I'm an advocate for that. But anyway,
Which before
men
you
and
go
women,
on, can I
boys
bring
and
up
girls.
this point? It's probably maybe taboo for some of y'all, but it's real life, and it comes to me, and I'm sure it comes to Linda often when we helping people, and when we do seminars and workshops, and Linda does them on marriages, and I do them on communication and relationship and things like that, family bonding, and I can tell you it comes up. Here's the deal, men. So ladies, this is for you to really get this. Get this. Food and sex are equal when it comes to men. Sometimes a man will give up the food so that he can have the sex. So when you deny your husband or husbands, when you deny your wife sex, you're denying them the essential. And if you are a Christian, which a lot of our followers are Christians, they are believers, the Bible tells you not to defraud each other. You cannot withhold sex from your mate. That is not fair. That's like you withholding food from them. And if you're always fixing fast processed food for your husband or for your wife or for your mate, whoever's doing the cooking, what you're doing, you're not taking care of their health. And you're, you know, so
that's right.
There's more to marriage. I mean, when we talk about marriage, we got to get down into these nitty gritty things too, right, Linda?
That's
so,
right.
Because what are some of the complaints that they coming to you with when it comes to, you know, especially because I hear a lot from men. It's like, you know, if I'm able to get sex once a week or once a month or once, you know, that's crazy. You gonna feed him once a week, once a month? I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm taking up for the brothers, but and some of the women just like,
you're right, because they do. You know, a lot of times we as women, we will withhold that sex from them instead of working through the issue and helping him to understand. You know, we use the power of withdrawal, hoping that it's going to change things, but it just makes you it just buries you deeper in the hole, because now you got another thing, another layer of stuff to work through.
Well, you just made a great point.
And
you made a great point, because here's the deal. Maybe you holding sex from him because he's done something or because he doesn't do it right. That's real.
To your satisfaction.
To your satisfaction. I want to ask you a question. Have you taught him how to satisfy you?
Yes, there you go.
If you haven't taught him how to satisfy you, you can't punish him for something you haven't taken initiative. Sometimes men want you to take the initiative too. Show them what to do. And if you're intimidated, when you have that special time during the week, when they say what didn't go as well, you can say, you know, I think what didn't go as well is that I really wanted to just wake you up in the middle of the night and just, you know, make mad love to you, but I was too afraid or intimidated to do that. I mean, being real. Sometimes, I mean, it's great. All this stuff we're saying, Linda, sounds great to some people, but they just can't see themselves doing that. That's why there's you and me. That's why we get the clients.
That's right.
Because they don't know how to do that.
Right.
So we're gonna give you the stuff. You don't need to have a coach to do it, but if you need a coach, you know where we are. But here's the thing: it's really important. Sex is one of the #1 reasons why people cheat, why there's infidelity.
Right.
You know, and
not always, but sometimes
it
is. A lot of times it is.
Yeah. It is, whether you're not giving them sex or whether the sex is wrong or whether they're having an affair or, you know, I mean, well, the affair comes sometimes from that because you're not keeping each other satisfied.
satisfied sexually.
Yeah, and I'm not saying those times where you just overtaken, sometimes a man, body overtakes his
This is mine.
mind. So anyway, okay, I just had to, I just really wanted to address that really quickly and bring that in, because I think that a lot of people, they hear of marriage and they hear, and all these wonderful tips and everything, but if you don't get over
sex
the
is,
hurdle,
you're right, girl. Sex is important in a marriage and in a relationship. It is.
It's really
you got
love.
to talk about that. You've got to talk about it, not just do it, but you got to talk about your feelings about it, what your needs are, and it should be an easy conversation for you. And if it's not an easy conversation, you got to learn how to help it to be an easy conversation. Get you a counselor, somebody that's going to help you to deal with that. A sexless marriage, where two people who desire sex, that's a disaster right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
and because you miss a few things, you miss the intimacy.
You
miss that love, you miss that. Sometimes, the orgasm is great, it's wonderful. But a lot of times when you're making love, should I say making love? I've said a lot, sex a lot, but I mean really making love or being intimate, with each other, physically intimate. And so where the sex, because sometimes sex, you got that long making love, foreplay and all that beautiful stuff. Sometimes it's real quickie, baby, I just want to excite your day. I want to start your morning off well. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got all that time. So you can do it, but it's still the touching. It's still I'm touching your heart with what I'm offering you, what I'm giving you, and it gets so perverted at times.
And also
that's a whole nother subject. That's a whole nother show. The perversion that comes up in our intimate relationships.
Right. And also, not allowing it to get stagnant, just doing the same thing, same time, same place, every Friday night, that kind of thing. But having some diversity and some excitement about your sex life is really, really important in enhancing a relationship too, since we're on that topic. Try something new, try different places, doing different things. It could be fun. It's the spark of relationships. It really is for committed relationship. It's that spark that keeps it going.
Yeah.
And you can people who have a good sex life, a lot of times, they overlook a whole lot of other stuff. They're willing to work through a whole lot of stuff because they want to keep that relationship. It's valuable to them. It's like life to them, so it's a very important part of marriage, not just for men, but for women too. And a lot of times we just don't know how to deal with it, just becoming free the last 20 or 30 years or so to be able to express that we need sex too.
Yeah.
So being,
we got some comments here that I want to read. Let's see, we got, okay, Alicia said again that we have to learn how to deal with differences. Don't expect to see and hear the same way. And then Stacy said, that was an excellent point, Mama. Listening for the feelings. Great conversation. And then she says, yes, and you did a good job with that, Mom. My brothers take care of himself very well. And I think that was when we were talking about how men take care of themselves. And then Alicia says that, I remember those classes. So the classes that you taught, Linda, and she says, I taught my son the same thing, or she might be talking about the homemaker shop classes. And she said, and yes, you did a good job with that, Mom. My brother, oh no, she was commenting on Stacy's, and she said, amen. And then, oh, hey, there's my cousin, Kelly. She says, hello, Queens. Hello, Kelly. Hey, hello, Stacy. Hello, everyone. We are just so happy you joined us. If you just joined in, we are talking about the essentials of marriage. We want to make sure that you're successful in every aspect of your life, if you've been following us a while, you understand that the point of our show, Conversations for Our Success, is that you are successful. So we approach it with a holistic approach. That's mind, body, spirit. That's all of you and all that concerneth you. We want you to be overtaken by blessings. So we try to do our part and come with some things that we feel might help you succeed. So I'm gonna turn you back to Dr. Dougan so she can continue on with the good essentials.
Well, yeah. Okay. So I think all of us agree that sex is important in relationships, in most marital relationships. And so, but it doesn't mean that sometimes you have to go without. Like when my husband was sick, we had to go without sex for a while. And being able to do that, abstinence for a while is very, very important. So you've got to be in control of yourself, but enjoy it. It's a very important part of it, but it is not everything, because there will be times when, you may be more sexually active than others, and that's okay. The main thing is that the love and commitment is there. And I just want to, the last thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is conflict resolution, because conflict is inevitable. If you have a dynamic relationship, you're not going to agree on everything all the time. And so you've got to find ways to resolve that conflict. And there are ways that you can do it. And there are, you can learn how to do it. Some people is, well, he's so stubborn, he won't ever do this or that or the other. She's so hot-headed, well, whatever. But you can learn if you have the commitment to the relationship. So that's number one. But conflict is a part of life. There are going to be some times when you're not going to agree. First step, showing mutual respect for each other. Showing mutual respect. I've seen couples who have gotten up and they are mad about something and they get into an argument, start throwing things. Girl, one day I was in a marriage session with two people, and all of a sudden the wedding rings were being thrown across the room. I was ducking. It was just ridiculous. That is not showing mutual respect at all, So showing mutual respect for each other, even though you may not agree, you allow the other person to have their point of view. Pinpointing what the real issue is step number two. They may be saying one thing, but the real issue is something else. So you may feel like it's something else, and working through that. Sometimes you might need somebody to help you with that. But reflecting back what they have said and what you feel, how you feel that they are feeling and all of that, you got to work through it. It's just a matter of working through it. But pinpointing the real issue is step number two. Number three, seek some areas of agreement. That's a really important step. I mean, you may be in conflict about something, but there's some things that you can really look at and say, well, we may disagree on this, but we want to raise a great child. We may disagree on what is happening, what you do with him, or what I do with him or don't do with him, but we are committed to really raising great children or whatever, if that should be the issue. So finding those areas of agreement is really, really important. And then the fourth step, the last step, is mutually participating in the decision making. So we want to raise this child. So what can we do? Both of us can do. What can we do in helping to reach that goal? Mutually participating in that decision making. We know that we have this conflict. We know that we want to raise this child, if that should be the issue. So what can we really do in order to make that happen? And commit to it, commit to it. You commit as an individual to that. Not telling the other person, well, you need to do this, and I'll do this, but you need to do, no. Each individual committing what they're willing to commit to in order to make that happen. That's the way that you resolve conflict. So again, just to go over it, showing mutual respect, pinpointing what the real issue is, seeking the areas which you do agree on, and then mutually participating in the decision making. Mutually. is the active word there.
Can I add
So,
to that? Can I add to that mutual?
yes, yes,
Because I like to add one thing is to that is take responsibility for your actions.
yes.
When the first marriage for us Christians, when the first marriage took place and they went against what God had said, the first thing Adam did when God asked him about it was to blame the woman that God gave him. In other words, it's your fault, God, because you gave me this woman, and the woman is the one who gave me the fruit. And the woman said, hey, wait a minute, it's your fault, his fault, because it's really the serpent's fault, because he's the one who gave it to me. And so, you know, neither one of them took responsibility. So it's probably not your nature to want to take responsibility for your part in it. But in order for you to do these other things, especially this last point, the mutual, what was it, mutual
Participation. Mutually
participation, is
participating.
that you have to show up
in decision making.
in decision making. You've got to show up taking your responsibility of this decision that needs to be made. But not only that, you got to take the responsibility for your part in the conflict. Don't just say, well, it's all their fault, all their fault, all their fault. Just look and say, is there anything I could have done differently? And if it's not, okay, if at the end of the day, everything was good, at least you did take responsibility enough to check yourself.
Yes, yes.
You know, you said, well, my responsibility is to check myself and see, could I have done anything differently? You know, if I could do something differently, then I know that I'm being responsible here in this conflict. You know, or sometimes just for peace sake, your responsibility might be to notice by listening, by hearing what they're not saying,
and observing
that this is escalating to a place of conflict. I see that. I don't want to add fuel to the fire. I see where he's going, and you know, I don't want him to go there. I see where she's going. I don't want her to go there. So for peace sake, my responsibility is, you know what, I'm gonna let it go. Okay, they could have been wrong as two left feet, but you know what, your responsibility is, I choose not to engage in this conflict. Or even though we are at conflict, we're at odds, I choose not to allow it to escalate into something more, you know,
and that's
to our relationship.
Yes, and if you felt like you feel like you have tried what you could and it's not making a difference, that's when you seek us, you know, and we will help you. But taking responsibility yourself and doing what you know is right thing to do, or doing things that you feel will help the situation. And love is the bottom line, you know, on that. And so you always are mutually respectful of each other, because we're all God's children, even though I was ready to throw mine out the window many days, you know.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, Linda. Please, I'm so glad you didn't throw them out the window. But while you were saying that, I was also looking at the comments, and it's funny because Stacey said, you know, she laughed about the throwing the wedding rings across the room, right? And then Alicia said that I wear a T-shirt that says, "How to satisfy a man: show up naked." So maybe a great way to end the conflict is to show up. Anyway, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I like it when people are engaged in our conversation. You know, I should have just, you know, next conversation we'll invite you to call in, you know, or pop on with us. You can, you know, there's time if you feel like you have something burning, pressing that you want to add to our conversations at time, you can just, as I'm reading these comments, you can comment and say, hey, I'd like to jump on, and then I can send you a link where you can actually jump on the Zoom with us, or you can call in by phone, because we love it. That's why it's a conversation. We want you to be a part of the conversation. That's why we're reading the comments. So thank you, ladies, for commenting, because it really gives us a good conversation, because that's great. Just show up naked. That's what it says, right?
Well, you ought to know what satisfies your man now, you know, what he like. You know, that's part of the whole thing, you know, is understanding each other and what your needs are and what your likes and dislikes are and all of that. So explore those things, you know, and the only way to explore is by trying different things, you know, and talking about it.
And Stacy said she's glad you didn't throw her dad out the window too.
She didn't even know about that, I don't think, but there was some days, I tell you. But I loved him to death. You know, he was a wonderful guy. But you know, none of us are perfect, and I know there were probably some days when he's ready to throw me out too. You know, but he says it never was. But I'm sure there were some things. Well, there definitely were things that we disagreed on from time to time.
Don't you find that also brings up another point, Linda? Sometimes other people, because I'm thinking everybody looked at you guys and just thought you guys were like the perfect couple. It's like, y'all never, come on, y'all the perfect couple.
I don't know if anything if there is a perfect couple, everybody got their challenges.
Right. You know, so yes, no, there's no perfect couple. So, but sometimes, okay, a couple will be having issues. And excuse me, especially sometimes when they're on their way to church or some function, some public function, and then they show up like, you know, hey, nothing's wrong, because they at home or whatever, and then they go back home and brood and just don't deal with the issue until the next time they're in front of somebody. And so sometimes, just like on Facebook, y'all, everybody that's putting all this stuff on Facebook about how awesome their marriage is and how, you know, all this is, you know, perfect and everything. That's beautiful. We love you. We applaud you. However, for you who are thinking that you need to hold your man or your woman up to that standard of what you see somebody else, you don't know the whole story.
That's right.
You don't know the whole story. People put out there what they put out there. It doesn't mean that that's what's going on behind closed doors.
That's right.
You know, and so
they have their challenges
behind the closed doors. Behind the doors is where you need to be working on. And then guess what? When you're out in public, when you're out front, guess what? It'll show.
Yes.
And when y'all too overly perfect on Facebook, we know something going on. So you ain't fooling nobody. You think that you know, you out there, and he's this and he's that, and we thinking, well, what you trying to say? Because all this is a little bit over. So people can kind of read you. So I'm saying, just be real. If you got it going on behind the doors and working on what's behind the doors or backstage, when you out front, it'll come out naturally.
Yes. Say that. Yep. So don't get caught up in, you know, what it looks like is happening, you know, with these people, because they are, you know, just showing you one side of the story. Everybody's got some issues in their relationships that need to be worked on, and they're not showing you that. They want you to see, you know, just the good stuff and make it look as good as possible. But, you know, just understand what's real and don't get caught up in it. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I have for us today, and I think we're almost out of time. Not okay. We have a little bit
before we go. Anyway. Hi, Liz. Hi, Liz. Liz says, yes, I need to realize this. So Elizabeth, our prayers are with you, and you know, as it's for. I think what it is that sometimes we just need to be reminded. We need to be reminded, because especially if we're Christians, the Spirit of the Lord speaks to us. And it says it'll whisper in our ear, this is the way, walk ye in it. When you go to the left or when you turn to the right. It says that the Holy Spirit comes to lead and guide us in all directions of truth and knowledge. And a lot of times where we as Christians have the confidence in knowing that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. That means it's sometimes you're not, and it says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. And in order to pull down a stronghold over our relationship, over our marriage, it's sometimes we just got to go to God. We got to go in the spirit. We got to go with intuition and the spirit to speak to us and say,
Mary, the thing I wanted to say is that is the only thing that should stand between you and your spouse or your partner is spirit. That is the only thing that should stand between you. And when there is conflict, then you use your spiritual skills and go to your higher power in order to understand what you need to do in that situation. Sometimes you do have to leave, that situation because it wasn't right in the beginning, or certainly isn't right now, or maybe it's just not right for a period of time. But you need that guidance that only Spirit can give you. You have to go outside of yourself. So that should be the only thing that stands between you and your spouse is the Holy Spirit, or whatever your spirit belief is. There were many a days when I didn't know what to say or what to do in certain situations, and I had to go in prayer and just let Spirit lead me as to what to say and what to do in order to alleviate or eliminate this situation. Because I was just, I didn't want to do or say the wrong thing, move too fast because of my own frustrations, So you've got to be Spirit-led in a relationship. I feel for those relationships that have lasted a long time, usually there's some kind of spiritual connection there between them. And then there's some relationships, they last for a long time, but they're not really relationships. They're like arrangements.
Yeah.
I have grandparents that had that. They had an arrangement. They were married for 40 plus years, but they had an arrangement and you could feel it. He slept upstairs and she slept downstairs. Now, what does that tell you? Right. And she was a good cook, but he was a good conversationalist, so they stayed together because they complemented each other in various ways, but the love, the warmth was not there. You see what I'm saying? But it worked for them. They had that arrangement and that worked for them.
But I know another couple who actually slept in different rooms, but they were totally in love.
Now see?
They were like, this is behind the doors.
Yeah.
Always flirting with her and pinching on her and do whatever. But she liked her room one way and he liked his another way, but they would sneaky, not sneaky
into each other's room.
And I said, because I was like, you guys sleep in different rooms?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it? She was like, well, it's flagellant. Okay, you know that word. So, it's like he does that, and I want my room this way, and he wants his room that way.
Right.
So, but yet they still love each other, and I can tell you, behind the doors is where it was, so you can see it out front. But yeah, so yeah, and I like that what you how you addressed that, the arrangement, because it's an important question. Are you in an arrangement situation, maybe because you don't want to leave your children, or you don't want to, break up your family? So you are in an arrangement situation, but you're unhappy. You're unhappy because you really want to be in love. Or you're married, but you're lonely because you feel trapped
for the relationship.
Right, because you're in that is a hard place to be in. And you might need some marriage counseling. You might need somebody else to help you through that. Or, like Linda said, pray, go into Spirit, because here's the thing, you need to address it. If you're unhappy And we're not talking about the the happiness that depends on what just happened. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about the long-term state of being.
Right.
I'm
Right.
just in an unhappy state of being. That's
Mm-hmm.
what we're talking
And
about.
make sure that that the relationship maybe be a part of it, and you're doing what you know to do
Mhm.
in order to enhance that relationship. If you've done all that you can and you can't do anymore, you don't know what else to do, then reach out, get some help, for your relationship.
Mhm.
Because I'm telling you, it's one of the joys of my life. It's like one, because a lot of people don't get a chance to experience a real significant relationship in their lifetime. So I consider it one of those special kinds of things in life that you want to try to have and cultivate if possible. For me, it was absolutely important, and I wouldn't have traded for anything. All the trouble and all this, things that we went through and challenges and all that, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'd do it all over again.
And you know what? For us who have never been married, I can tell you that I do look forward to that.
Keep
I
hope alive.
huh?
I
Keep
just
hope
said keep hope
alive.
alive.
Yeah. But if I should never marry, uh, I won't feel like I mean, what do they say? You never miss what you never had.
Mhm.
I've really been married vicariously. First of all, in my dreams, I've been married so many times, child, to some of the amazing men. Oh, sometimes I hate to wake up. I love it. I really do. I was like, oh, and because it's dream. And what was beautiful was when I woke up, I didn't have to deal with anyway. no, no. But I know that it's time to cohabitate with somebody. Okay, I'm older. I'm by myself now. Okay, I can do that. I can put all my concentration in my boo, my honey, and I know he's going to be amazing. And if worst case, well, not even worst case scenario, but if it's not in the card, if it's not in God's will for me to get married, like I said, I've lived marriage vicariously through a lot of people who I've helped have great
Mhm.
marriages,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just like your situation, God, I honor marriage. And I look at it, I think that is so beautiful. It's so wonderful. I don't look and go, well, I ain't been married, so I can't, I'm not gonna celebrate your marriage.
Mm.
No, I'm gonna celebrate your marriage. And I said, bravo. That was because I
Mm.
know it was work for the both of
Mm.
you. And like you said
Mhm.
earlier, when you don't know what to do, you got this, and you done prayed about it, you done fast about it, you done
Mhm.
checked yourself, you done doing everything you know to do.
Mhm.
Get help.
Yeah.
You ain't on the island by yourself.
Mhm.
Reach out, get somebody.
Mhm.
But watch who you get now, because some people are busybodies. You don't want to go to somebody just trying to get all in your business. You need go to a professional. Okay. Let me give these, and then we're gonna wrap it up here. uh I'm not sure what Alicia was saying, but she said something was very interesting. There was some so true, ha ha ha. And then Elizabeth says, but I know some people are unwilling, like one spouse will go to therapy but the other one won't. Oh, Linda, you could really address this one.
Mhm. Mhm.
Viola said, in your dreams, LOL, cousin. Well, Viola, you're gonna have to tell me what's in my dream. Oh, in my dreams. Oh, my husband. Oh, yeah. I done had some of them, girl. They fine. I done had them black, white. I done had them. I just been mad so many times. I loved it. Anyway, okay. I didn't
Oh,
have
girl,
a
you're
headache.
a
When I woke up, my head wasn't hurting. I was feeling good.
mess.
Anyway.
But keep hope alive, girl, because as long as you are alive,
Mm,
it's never too late,
no, it's
to
not.
have that relationship, and
Yeah,
so, you're still here, so it can still happen.
it
So
really
just keep
can.
hope alive, honey.
I just hope he energetic, because yeah. Anyway, so that's a whole other question. You know how I think. Oh, okay. Anyway,
Girl, you're best.
okay.
You got to keep
Listen,
up with
I'm
you,
gonna
huh?
let you wrap up. I'm gonna shut my mouth, girl. Everybody, I gotta say before I turn it over to Linda, it's been amazing having you all be a part of our conversation. We're so happy when you show up and you're here, or even if you view us after you know, after we've gone live. We're just happy that you're getting something out of this. We love you so much. Thank you for joining us in the conversation. And I'm turning it back to Dr. Dougan right now.
Well,
God, and
that says
Viola
it
said,
all.
keep hope alive.
Yes,
Just
indeed.
'cause.
Yes, indeed. Wherever you are in your journey with relationships, whether it's at a beautiful marriage or a budding relationship or by yourself still looking, it doesn't make any difference. You know, just keep hope alive. That's my saying for this, especially for this particular topic. But just know that help is available. Keep spirit at the center of all of your relationships, whether it's marital or whatever, because that's what's going to make the difference and what's going to give you the elevation that you need. So we love you. And we've got some wonderful things planned for you for our future workshops and everything. And so stay tuned and stay informed, okay? And keep loving. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Bye for now. Bye for now, everybody.